People ask me, Keith, why do you care so much about birth centers and midwives and all of these women's issues? Well, to explain that, I'd like to tell you two stories. To me, they're the story of birth. The first story goes like this. Once upon a time, there was an ant and a grasshopper. All summer long, the ant worked while the grasshopper played. When winter came, the ant, safe in his anthill, survived, while the grasshopper froze and starved. It's not a very cheery story, but the second story is the one I like better. Once upon a time, there was a guy walking from one town to another. He got beat up and robbed and left for dead. Now, two religious leaders walked by and did nothing. They either didn't see him or they acted like they didn't see him. But then a good Samaritan came along. He picked the man up, dressed his wounds, put him on his donkey, and took him to the local inn to make sure that he got the care he needed. I realize those may not sound a lot like the story of birth, but to me they are. You see, the first version is the version most of us have heard from the medical associations. They see birth as that winter that's inevitable. If you're pregnant, birth is going to happen. But to them, it's winter. It's a dangerous time. You are going to die if you are not safe in their little anthill hospital, where they have all of their stored up technology and stored up resources. The midwives, they see birth like the Good Samaritan. They see themselves as someone who comes along and helps someone in need. And when they find the limits of their skills and their abilities, they arrange for a transfer to an appropriate facility where those care needs can be met. The difference between physicians and midwives isn't about skill, isn't about training, isn't about knowledge. It's about the question of what kind of person should be helping women have babies. Philip Zimbardo, a social psychologist of some repute, has been doing a fair amount of work in what he calls time perspectives. Those are examinations of the cognitive biases that we usually are not aware of that have to do with how do we interpret time? How do we interpret facts based on our perspective of time? To the ant, future time orientation, what is going to happen in the future is the most important thing. This idea that winter is coming, something in the future is coming, and so we make our decisions based on what we believe will happen in the future, is more important than basing our decisions based on what's happening right now. In the story of the Good Samaritan, the religious leaders are the future-oriented people. They're on their way to some town to probably hold a religious meeting or a fundraiser or give food to the poor. They have some plan in their mind that probably involves saving hundreds and thousands of people, and stopping to save this one person would interrupt that plan and thousands of people could suffer. I suppose that's not in the story, but that's the way I imagine it, because I don't like to think that they're bad people. But on the other hand, the Good Samaritan said, I have a goal, I have to get to the next town, but what is happening right now is too important for me to ignore. You see, it's not really about how much education a midwife has. Goodness knows we've got certified nurse midwives now with PhDs. They are literally doctors of nursing and midwifery. But they're still not trusted by the physicians. Not because they don't have enough knowledge, not because they don't have skill, but because ultimately the physicians believe that in order to make good decisions, you need to adopt their orthodox belief in future time orientation. You need to ignore the present. Unfortunately, that runs directly contrary to everything midwifery stands for. Midwifery, the word itself, is a present-oriented word, with woman, not was with, will be with, we'll get around to paying attention to eventually, but with woman, right now. The whole point of midwifery is caring. It's about being the Good Samaritan to a woman who is in labor, to a woman who needs maternity care. It's about caring about your patients first. But see, to a physician mentality, to a future-oriented mentality, that is a very risky, undisciplined, dangerous mentality. And you simply cannot be trusted because you have the wrong set of values. I think we need more empathetic people. We need more good Samaritans in our society, not fewer. And that is why midwifery matters to me.